So in this tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at how to light a room using the Flambient method, natural light, and a reflector. So let's get into Lightroom right now and I'll show you how to do this. Alright, here we are in Lightroom and here is our ambient layer. Nice natural light, a ton of natural light coming in. So what we need to do first is our initial flash pop above the camera, which looks like this. And I do believe that I held up the reflector and popped that flash back into the room. And if you notice, we did get a little flash glare right here on this window. So you always want to make sure that if you're only going to do one flash pop, where in this case, I probably could have got away with it because if you look at my ambient layer, tons of natural light. But I like to do multiple flash pops just in case I need them because it can save you a whole lot of headaches as long as if you have more than you need, it's better than not having enough. Just remember that. So don't just assume you're going to be okay with ambient and one flash pop. If you feel like you should do some composites or multiple flash pops to light the scene, do that. It'll save you a lot of headache down the road. Alright, so that's what I decided to do. I jumped into the room and you can kind of see part of that reflector right here with that AD600. Now I'm running with a strap, so I'm able to hold that AD600 and I'm able to let go of it if I need to. But I'm using a mobile app so I can control my camera from my phone. And what I do is I have the reflector and I have the phone and I set my camera to a 4-second timer, so when I hit that trigger on my phone, it gives me time to grab that reflector, hold the flash up, and hit that reflector with the flash, and then I can move on. So that's how I do that. So I'll show you the other angle right there, and if you can see, and I'll zoom in, you can see that I have a separate phone actually that I use for my because there's my actual phone that's in my pocket. I have a separate phone that I use just for real estate. That way if my phone battery is low, I already know I got a full charge on this, and vice versa. I have a backup. You want to have a backup of everything. That's my motto really. But notice that AD600, I would guess I think I was at a quarter power on the AD600, and you can see that I was at 9mm f5.6 ISO 400 1/50th of a second. That was enough to get me to kill the the ambient light so we could get that window view. So here's another trick that you can do. Now, I've noticed that if I take the dehaze and pull this down, I get a lot cleaner window view right here as opposed to without it. So that's just one trick. But the only issue with doing that is now this image is not going to blend well with the other image. So what we can do is leave this one like this, and we'll right click on this one and come up here to create virtual copy. So watch this. We'll take the number 2 of 2, which is that virtual copy we just made, and we'll crank that dehaze up. And notice how the dehaze is giving us a nice clean window view, but it's not blowing out, or it's not ruining the white around the windows. So that'll blend really nice with the other images. So we can highlight this one. Let's hold down Command and we'll click on this one. This is our left flash pop above the camera and the ambient layer, and we'll right click, edit in, open as layers in Photoshop. Alright, so once we have all the layers loaded into Photoshop, let's toggle off. This is the order of operations. Actually, the first thing that we want to do is let's hold down Shift, click the bottom one to select them all. Let's come up here to Edit, Auto Align Layers, and then hit OK. Just in case there was we bumped the tripod or whatever, you should just auto align your layers. It'll make things a lot easier once you get going in through the edit. Alright, and that looked actually pretty solid. There was hardly any shifting that needed to be done. So, next step, let's toggle off the ambient layer. Let's toggle off the flash above the camera layer. And now we can work on these two composites. Now remember, the dehazed one, we want to keep that on the bottom. We're going to bring that up very last to do our final window pull. So what we can do is make sure both of these are selected. We'll click on the top one, do a layer mask, Command I to invert it, and now watch this. We're going to take our gradient tool, make sure white is selected, and we're going to hold down somewhere. See how the hot spot in the ceiling, it stops right about here? We're going to click and hold down and drag somewhere over here. Now, yes, we have two shadows now with that light fixture, but that's not a big deal because we'll be able to blend that out with the ambient layer. or maybe this layer, but we'll do this. Let's turn this one to lighten mode and see what that does. Wow, that actually does a lot. Let's bring that opacity down just a little bit. Let's see how that looks. That looks good. Okay, now we can toggle on our ambient layer. And let's try bringing that to 50% and see what happens. Yeah, see, I love doing the 50% ambient blend, but a lot of times it just doesn't work because we don't get rid of all those unnatural shadows. So let's throw the ambient layer up to 100%, and let's turn it to luminosity mode and see what that does. Alright, that cleaned it up pretty good actually. So what we can do is do a layer mask, Command I on that ambient layer, take our brush, I'm in a 5% flow, I'm right bracket to make that bigger. I'm just going to start painting out those. Let's get that natural light coming in. Don't worry about the windows. We're going to fix that with our repair layer, that dehaze layer that we did. And so let's get some of that natural light coming in. You don't want to go overboard because we want to make it a nice transition when we bring that dehaze layer in. Okay, let's do that. Let's click and drag that dehaze layer up to the top. Layer mask, Command I to invert. Let's try this. Let's just try turning it to darken mode. I don't know if that's going to work, and then make sure the mask is selected again. And now I'm doing left bracket on my keyboard, and now we're just going to paint that in and see if that... Oh yeah, that worked out pretty good. And we can brush that door. Get some of that haze around that door frame. That actually looks pretty nice. What about this mirror? Can we clean that up at all? A little bit, yeah. But I do like the way that cleaned up the window. Look at that. Alright, let's toggle that on and off. Oh yeah, that definitely helped. Look at the harsh glare coming through that we were able to fix that. Alright, let's do this. Let's flatten this image. Alright, so now that we have it flattened, watch this. We're going to come up here to Filter, Skylum Software, and we're going to go into Luminar AI, and we're just going to give this a little tweak. Alright, I am going to go to the Edit, and now watch this. Accent, we're going to bring that up somewhere in the middle. And now if we do a before and after, look at that. Boom. I like that. That looks good to me. Let's hit Apply. That's literally all I wanted to do in this Luminar AI. It's going to bring it right back into Photoshop for us, and we can Command S to save it, bring it back into Lightroom, and I'm going to do my interior final bump. Now here's another Lightroom trick that you're going to want to know. Come down here to our hue, saturation, luminance sliders, make sure saturation is selected, and click on this little circle right here. And I'm going to come up here into these shadow areas because I can tell we have some blue casting coming in. Click on it and just pull down. Look at that, how it just pulls the blues out. Now you could have just come over here and pulled the blue out, but it will let you know what the hue or the color cast is. Like, so you can go to this wall. Look at that, we got some magenta that we could have pulled out of that. So now if we toggle this on and off, look at the blue and magenta that we pulled out of that. So here's another tip real quick before we close this video out. I'm going to hit guided. Now watch this. If I click here, this one should be straight up and down, and so should this wall right here. We're going to actually try to line it up like that. Right there. Boom. And it corrects it for us. That corrects our vertical and our horizontal all in one. There you go, folks. Make sure to leave me a comment if you have any questions about any of this stuff, and hit that subscribe button. Tutorials are coming out all the time. Thanks for watching.